So, hello everybody, this is Bhante Joe here, and I'm just here at Endagala and thought to record a short Awada for the internet. So thought that could start by leaning forward a bit and arching the spine, and looking about 3 feet in front, and closing the eyes. And can focus in on the breath. Can know when it's coming in, and know when it's going out. If one breathes in a long breath, can just know, I'm breathing in a long breath. And if one breathes in a short breath, can just know, I'm breathing in a short breath. And when watching the breath at the tip of the nose, it can be good to try to make mindfulness as continuous as possible. Being aware all the way through the in-breath. As the in-breath turns to the out-breath. All the way through the out-breath. And as the out-breath turns back to the in-breath again. Trying to keep mindfulness as continuous as possible. And if the mind wanders back, can just bring it back to the present moment. Wanders off rather, can just bring it back to the present moment, to the breath. And before we finish meditating, can spread thoughts of goodwill, wishing may all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make the mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond. In every dimension, may all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. Okay, and can open our eyes and do a short Ovada for the internet. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. So I was actually followed here by these two these two dogs, and I tried to chase them away several times. Choo, 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 choo. But they keep coming back, and actually I was walking through the forest, and they followed me for a bit, and I chased them away once. And then further on down in the forest, we met again. They followed me. Then they followed me a third time, and finally they ended up all the way to Endagala. And I even went so far as to chase them off of the rock, and they still kind of came back to this rock. So very kind of persistent small dogs. And part of the reason for this is because, I kind of prefer that they don't follow me into the forest. There's three of these small dogs. They all kind of live in this area, which is right before the path that leads up the mountain and into the forest. And so there's been, I think, a few occasions, more than one occasion, at least maybe two occasions with one or more of these dogs, where I've gone for a trip up the mountain. They followed me, and so then I become responsible for them, and I have to try to find a way to get them back. So I prefer they don't follow me. There's been another occasion where actually another dog, I went over the mountain and stayed at a village there, and that dog followed me back from that village to the monastery where I'm staying. And all the monks were kind of a little unhappy with that. And kind of they didn't want any extra dogs at the monastery. So these dogs follow me. They don't follow other monks so much. And there's a couple of different reasons for this. One of the reasons is that I'm always kind of walking around. So I walk by their area. And dogs like to walk with people. They like walking around when there's a human there, because dogs are very territorial. So if they're walking with a human, other dogs won't attack them. If they kind of walk alone on their own, then they can be attacked by other dogs. So that's one reason. They kind of like to walk with a human. Another reason the dogs like to walk with, these particular dogs tend to walk with me, is because I don't mind showing them affection in their area, which is right before this path starts. I mean, I don't pet them or anything usually, but I just kind of stop and let them sniff me and this kind of thing. And so they take this as a sign of affection. And so because of this, when I go into the forest, even if I shoo them away, they still want to come close to me because of these two qualities. At least kind of I have this behavior that makes them attracted to me, and I've been kind to them. And it can be a similar thing with meditation. Kind of talking with one person, and they were mentioning how, sometimes maybe their meditation doesn't seem like it's progressing. And one of the reasons for this can be what one is doing outside of one's meditation. If one is kind of spending a lot of time kind of engaging in entertainment, say, then this makes these things, entertainment, it makes it attractive to one's mind. It's kind of the similar way that I show affection to these dogs to a certain extent, then they follow me. If one shows affection, if one shows liking for entertainment quite a bit, like watching shows, seeing movies, then it makes one's mind go out. And so when one sits down to meditate, this habit comes again, this defilement of wanting the mind to go out comes. One has shown it affection, and because of this, it now tends to follow one around. Another way these kind of defilements can tend to follow one around is if one is putting oneself, it behaves in a way that they like to follow. So in other words, if one, I like to walk, so the dogs tend to follow me. If one puts oneself in a position where one does things, has a behavior, has a lifestyle, has a way of living that makes one's mind go out, makes one's mind go to hatred, makes one's mind go to delusion, then this kind of lifestyle, this kind of, I guess you say, behavior set in and of itself is attractive to these things in various ways. If one has a kind of very strong habit of debating or taking strong positions on different political views, then this tends to be a lifestyle that attracts this defilement of hatred. It can make one very angry towards things that don't fit in with the way that one feels they should. And when these things are attracted to one, they become very difficult to shoo away. Kind of my coming into the forest here, coming into a quiet place, the dogs following after me, I try to shoo them away. Kind of go back to your home. But they like to follow me because I've already showed them affection. And, here's one dog coming now. And in a similar way, when one behaves in this way, one kind of has this lifestyle where one, say, for example, is attracted to debates, attracted to these kind of fiery issues, then this lifestyle in and of itself can attract hatred. When one comes to a quiet place, one comes to meditate, one sits down, then still, even one shoos them away, goes back to one's breath, they're very persistent. They tend to keep following one, can tend to keep hanging on to one. So in one's meditation practice, if one doesn't want these things to follow one around, in other words, when one is following the breath, one isn't followed by thoughts of anger, thoughts of delusion, worry, thoughts of craving for something one wants, some future that one wants, some craving not to have something that one does have. Then when one is followed around by these thoughts during one's meditation, one can try to take a look at these two qualities. There are more things that one can look at, but these can be a good kind of yardstick. Is one behaving affectionately to the defilements that are following one in meditation? And one kind of is very angry in meditation, for example. Say, what affection is one showing towards anger? Are there times when anger comes and one welcomes it? If one say is very kind of worried all the time, and kind of very anxious all the time, does one welcome in worry? Does one welcome in anxiousness? Does one project one's mind to the past or the future to worry quite a lot about what it'll be like, rather than keeping it in the present moment? Not just when one meditates, when one is off the cushion as well. If one does, one enjoys kind of getting wrapped up in debates, one enjoys kind of worrying, it's showing affection to this quality, and it will follow one even into a quiet place, even though one tries to shoo it away. And then one can also look at one's behavior, his general behavior, kind of how one behaves in the world, what one's lifestyle is like. Is one's lifestyle something that's accumulating defilements in various ways? Is one have a lifestyle habit, kind of a way of living, say, kind of is one kind of like a butcher, say, or does one like to watch a lot of violent sports where people are fighting and harming each other? If one has this kind of, say, a life, maybe even a better example would be if one kind of engages in a lot of kind of violent sports as a lifestyle. If one kind of engages in a lot of violent sports, it can be difficult to feel joy when somebody else does well. It can be difficult to let go of thoughts of harming people, thoughts of cruelty when they come up in one's meditation, because in one's life, one is training one's mind in this direction. They kind of follow one in one's meditation. So when one comes to a quiet place, one wants to not have the defilements follow them. I kind of prefer not to have the dogs follow me into the forest and be around. It's not, I mean, dogs can be fine in different ways, but it's better not to have them around in the deep forest. And so in a similar way, it's better not to have the defilement. Well, the defilements are good not to have any time, but it's good to behave in such a way that they don't follow one. The other monks, these dogs don't follow. They wouldn't come to the forest with them, but they follow me. Oh, and this dog he just took my sandal. Choo! Choo! He just took my sandal and started shaking it around. So it's better not to have this kind of thing happening. So for this reason, when one is out in the world, one can pay close attention. Am I showing affection to the defilements that are causing me trouble? One can pay close attention. Is my lifestyle one that's attracting the defilements to me? And if one doesn't show affection to them, if one changes one's behavior so that one's behavior is not attractive, then they may not follow. One can go into a place of quiet, undisturbed by these defilements. One can sit down to meditate and learn to be at ease with the breath. Learn to be at ease with one's meditation and learn to develop a foundation that will lead one to happiness now and create the conditions for moving forward on the Buddhist path. Okay, so leave that for reflection and hope that everybody has a great day and wishing all the blessings of Dhamma practice. Pati Pati Saranai.